We don't have anything to make us laugh. Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. My name is Bill Corey. I am the Cubist, and I just got a warning saying Hangouts on Air is going away later this year. What? Oh, crap. All right,
Well,
I guess we're going to figure some
maybe
stuff out.
We'll just cancel the show.
There you go. Maybe we'll just cancel the show. Patrick Hillier is here with us. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
I am tired. I was away for the weekend.
Yes, you were at Origins, your home con. We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And how did it go?
It was pretty good. I took it a little easier than normal because of past experiences, but it still had a good time. Still had a really good time.
Good. I got exactly 0 pictures from viewers with you. Did anybody come up and get a selfie with you?
No.
No? Well, then they all suck. Whatever.
I may have gotten... Well, I did get a selfie with my driver, Brian, at breakfast. So we could get him a prize. He doesn't listen to the show, though.
Probably not. Probably not. Hello, chat room. How's it going? It is good to see all of your shining avatars in the chat room. As always, glad to have you here. I am a little bit out of sorts, one could say. I've had some rather large life news. If you follow me on either Facebook or Twitter, you have already heard about it, and I will not bother you with lots of yammering about it on the show because that's no fun for anybody except me. So instead, but just forgive me if I seem a little bit off kilter tonight. There's a lot going on in the background, and just check social media if you want to know more. But in the meanwhile, let's start talking about games that we have played recently. Patrick, we have not had much time to prep like usual. So I don't know. We don't have a plan for this part. Patrick, you want to go first or you want me to?
I can go first.
You go first.
I have behind me Bosk. I don't know. I didn't prep as far as who did it. It's by Floodgate Games.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Bosk is gorgeous. Bosk is trees. Bosk, someone tweeted, Bosk is what photosynthesis wanted to be. And I agree with that 100%.
Okay.
That's a good sign.
Yep, I have played it, and I gave my copy away. That should tell you what I thought about it.
Yep. Hi, Tom. Tom's in the chat room.
Tom and Tom.
I'm looking it up real quick. I think it's Daryl Andrews, and because I talked to him a little bit about it, and I forget the other lady's name. Sorry, I can't talk and type board game geek at the same time. But anyway,
multitask.
I know
We're off to a hella start today.
It is 3-dimensional trees, very similar to photosynthesis, right? So it has a map with a grid on it, and you place trees, but the trees have little numbers written on them, and you're placing them on the grid. So the first season is springtime, you are planting and growing trees, and you're putting them out on this grid. And then in the summertime, you are looking down the lines of the grid in both directions, and whoever has the highest quantity by adding up the numbers on those trees. So if I could place a 4 and a 4, I have 8 along that line. Okay. I'm going to get points. And if you have, a tree with a 3 and a 2, you're in second place. So you might get points based on that. And there's a little chart that tells you how many points you get based on having first place or second place. And the scoring is pretty basic. And so you score in the summer, and then you move into the fall, and then you put this little strip along the edge of the board, and that's the wind blowing. And this little arrow indicator saying the wind's blowing from this way, and all your trees with the number 1s on them lose their leaves. And you take a pile of leaves based on a kind of a certain number. I'm not going to get into the big details. And you take these little leaf tokens, and you spread them out from your number 1 tree, and then you take your number 1 tree off. And over time, all of your trees disappear because they've all fallen onto the board. And the board is made up of zones of like rivers and different, grass regions and stuff. And whoever has the biggest area of majority in those regions gets points. And it looks gorgeous because there's all these different tree leaves, and they're all different shapes. Like some are red maples, and some are like yellow, poplars, and it just looks gorgeous. The theme makes sense, right? You're growing trees, and then the fall, and they're all fall leaves are falling, and got it because my wife is really big into going out into the Arboretum, and that's one of the things we do. We went down to Missouri. The first thing we did is we went to the gardens there, and it like I said, it does everything that Photosith wanted to be, but wasn't. It's not as heavy. It's not as thinky. It's a perfect light little
Very,
game.
very cool. I wanted to love photosynthesis because I love the concept of it, and
Yeah.
there were parts of it that I didn't hate. Like I first off, I think it looks nice on the table. I think it's a little bit abstracty, but it is essentially an abstract game hiding behind a theme of trees,
Yes.
and it feels like an abstract game. This one feels like it has significantly more
Mm-hmm.
like
It's still
thematic
pretty
immersion.
abstract, but at least it kind of makes sense that the fall and the spring raising. It's Daryl Andrews and Erica Boyuris. I think she is also from Toronto. The art is by Quanche Moria, of course, which is always gorgeous. And it
Very
is
cool.
Floodgate Games. There's no reason not to buy this. This is definite buy it, I guess.
Very cool.
And I got it from the website. I was I was in the midst of backing. Oh, what is it? Pastilius? It was about butterflies, and that was another game.
Papillon, not Papillon.
Papillon,
No, the
and
one
it
that
got yeah.
Colossal's doing.
It also, well, what they were doing, and it got canceled.
Mhm.
And
They relaunched it, I believe.
well, I know, but it got canceled.
Right.
And then like the next day, I saw some pictures of this and said, well, I was going to get this really pretty butterfly game. And then this came available from Floodgate, from their website. And I got the upgraded squirrel tokens. and and since we're talking about cool upgrades tonight, I had to get this instead. So this kind of replaced my need for a fun but pretty nature themed game.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
How about you?
That sounds neat. I did get to go to a game night last week in Sheboygan, which is about an hour 45 minutes away. There's a group up there that I try to get up there once or twice a month. Well, I'm sorry, once or twice a month. That's fair. It usually ends up more like once every 1 or 2 months, but I try for 1 or 2. And everything that I played up there was stuff that I brought. I taught Welcome To, and we played that twice, and then I taught Unfair. And I was adjacent to Tiny Towns, but unfortunately Unfair went longer, so I didn't get a chance to play it, which made me very sad.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched it, and I saw the head clutching that was going on, and it was really cool. But instead, I want to talk about a video game that I have been playing pretty obsessively lately, and I cannot believe I'm talking about it, just a straight video game. So sorry, board game folks, this is going to be a little off the hook, but it's that good. It's called Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. It is an old school turn-based RPG, similar to the way that I usually describe it to people is picture the Final Fantasy games up to and including, let's say, Final Fantasy 7 and 8. And then give it an art style and sensibility sort of similar to a combination of like Dragon Ball Z and Legend of Zelda. And you get the Dragon Quest games. This game is everything that I have always loved about old school turn-based RPGs. In that it is challenging without being too difficult. It allows you to immerse yourself in a story. You can go around and do 80 million side quests if you want cool loot, or you can just do this story and have a good time with it. The voice acting is superb. This is one of the things that I really appreciate about the game, is that it is all of the main characters are voice acted very, very well. And there are really well done cutscenes throughout the game. Everything about, I'm not done with it yet. I've got about, I'm going to guess, and you'll understand why I say guess in a minute, something to the tune of like 40 some hours logged into it over the last 2 months, which for me is a lot. And I strongly recommend this. If you wish that they made great old school RPGs like back in the, let's say, PlayStation and PlayStation 2 days, then this is an absolute must get. It's beautiful. It's funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but the storyline is solid and is not just comedy played for comedy's sake. The voice acting is good. The crafting system is basic but interesting. It's a sort of a weird little mini game, which is, again, another thing that sort of reminded me of Final Fantasy games where there were the collectible card games and stuff like that. There's that sort of thing in the game. There are indeed jellies. The game is Dragon Quest 11 Echoes of an Elusive Age is the name of it. It is very, very good. I've never, well, okay, let me backpedal a little bit. I don't want to play a very hard video game. I am not at the point in my life where I seek to be wildly challenged by the difficulty of a game. I want to play a game where I can sit down, have a good time, experience a cool story, or get some good gameplay or something like that. But I don't want it to be so punishingly difficult that I feel like I'm just frustrated. Because what I have noticed about myself is when I get a game like that, I end up putting it down and never picking it back up. It is universal how fast I will drop a game if it's too hard and it just isn't fun. It doesn't have that sense of fun and whimsy around it. This has it in spades. It is available on the Steam store and I believe on the other platforms. But I bought it on Steam and I would strongly recommend it. It plays very well with a mouse and keyboard if you so desire. I went and I like this game enough that I went and bought a controller for the first time for my PC just so that way I could have an old school video game feel. Yeah. I have been told
he's been playing it on Steam.
Yeah, on Steam is on my PC.
Because I get like your friends are playing something on Steam and it pops up like 10 times a day that Bill Corey is playing Dragon Quest 11.
Yep. Yeah. It's really good. It is a AAA priced game, but it is the first AAA priced game that I bought in a long time that I feel like is 100% worth it. So it's really good. It's lots and lots and lots of content. The reason I say that I think I've been playing about 45 hours in the save files, it definitely tells you how many hours you have logged, but I accidentally had parked the game and didn't actually turn it off for like 2 days and then forgot that I had it on. So it logged about 90 some hours of not gameplay while I was just sitting someplace. So I really have no idea, but it's really good. I strongly recommend it. Dragon Quest 11 Echoes of an Elusive Age. And like Amberjen said, sorry, I got distracted. The other Dragon Quest games have been strongly recommended to me along the way as well, that they're I've heard that they're all good, and most of the early ones are available on in the App Store now. They're available for your iPad for pretty cheap. So I've heard that those are really good as well. This is the only one that I can personally speak to because I want to finish it before I get a chance before I branch off into another game. Because I find the story that good. It's really, really well done. So there you go. Strong buy it. Pick it up. I intend on playing it to completion, and then apparently after you finish the main storyline, there is a after game where you can just run around and do side quests and crap. I can very easily see myself continuing to do that. It's real good. It provides a great game experience, you might say. An upgrade. No, never mind. I was going to try it, but I'm not even going to bother. All right. So our topic for tonight is upgrading your game experience. And that's a little bit of a nebulous topic. I understand that, but there's a reason that I kept it kind of nebulous when we were talking about it. It's because originally I was going to talk about something completely different. And then Patrick suggested this topic today. And so we kind of made a change at the last minute. And I think that there are a number of different ways that this topic applies. So, Patrick, when you suggested this, what was the first thing that had popped into your mind when you were talking about this?
Well, the reason I did it is we were sitting around Origins, and not many people and I discussed this at Origins, that this was kind of a less than inspired shopping experience as we went into the marketplace. There wasn't a lot out there that we were thrilled to buy. And my friend Jose tapped on his arm and goes, "I'm not getting that hit of whatever that I normally get, that
the dopamine hit,
that dopamine hit that I normally get, that I need something to buy. How am I going to get my fix?" And I said, "You know what phase I think you're entering? I think you're entering the accessories phase. you need to go in and buy something, some dice or a dice cup or
Mhm.
something. That's the next phase you get when you kind of like feel like you've got all the games you need, or your shelves are full, or you've met all the genres that you want, and you start getting cool things. And then later today, I think it was Kopak. We were talking about him earlier. He had a
Mhm.
picture of his haul. He still gets a million games, but next to it was I think it was boardgametables.com, had these
Mhm.
backpacks.
Yep, I have one.
Yeah, that hold your about 6 or 8 games, and um, everybody had those. They were like $20. They were
Yep.
insanely inexpensive. Everyone was buying them and then stuffing them full of games that they were buying and walking around with them and smacking into each other
Mhm.
because it's like 2 feet, behind
Because
you.
they're
Yeah.
backpacks, right? Yeah,
And then of
sure.
course, if you really have a lot of cash, I wandered over to Berkey's area. He had the giant inflatable hat and and was
Because
selling his.
nothing says deluxe accessories like an inflatable hat.
Yeah, well, uh, and he's got his gorgeous table toppers, but I'm not
Mhm.
quite ready to go for one of those yet. I don't think I need one, but he started selling just the neoprene mats, and I'd kind of
Mhm.
like to get one of those for my table down here. And he's got some new ones, and he's just about to do a Kickstarter, and he was showing off them. So what he's been doing with them is, he leaves the field, the middle part of it open, and then he just has some art related to whatever, some theme, if you like theme, or you can get ones with like grids on them if you're going to do D&D, or you can just get like space ones if you play a lot of space games, or you can get whatever theme you want, or you can just get a plain blue one or a plain black one or plain red one, whatever you want. But they've got that sort of cushiony card feel to them for sliding cards and stuff. So that was something that
Sure.
was definitely on my radar. I just talked to him about it and said, well, maybe I'll wait until the Kickstarter comes out and see what the latest ones are before I buy one.
Gotcha.
And then he's selling
So
like tubes you can get with them, like a remember
sure.
architect tubes that you
Mhm.
can you could store it in and take it over to the game store if you bring it with you or whatever. So, and
Yeah,
then
no,
I have
that
some other things behind me that we could talk about also.
so in my mind, to zoom out just a little bit, in my
Yeah.
mind, there are three basic categories that when it comes to upgrading your game experience that things fall into. There are game specific upgrades. So these are things like custom inserts or fancy bits or
Yeah.
whatever. Or you could really, I suppose, even include sleeves here, although there are a significant number of gamers that consider sleeves to just be necessary parts of every game. I
Mhm.
think those people are crazy, but whatever. There's the game agnostic upgrades. So these are things like dishes to keep bits in, or card holders, or like having a bunch of, let's say, like the Stonemeyer deluxe resources,
Mhm.
where you can
Mhm.
keep them in a case so that way you have them for all kinds of games instead of any specific game. And then there is the environmental upgrade. So these are things like the tables and table toppers, lighting, things like that, where it's the actual space that you are in that you are upgrading. And I think that those are all sort of, they all play together nicely, but I feel like each one of those categories is kind of its own little mini focus for some folks. So, like for instance, there are a number of people that I know that have a beautiful gaming space, but think that inserts are a waste of money. And there are other folks that like will have really nice inserts for all of their games, but will keep everything in baggies, but have the wooden, like when Dogmite Games did their component collector Kickstarter, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. So lots of fancy little wooden dishes and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it really just depends. I feel like everybody sort of focuses on a different side of things. And as somebody that quite frankly has focused on all three of them, I think that, like, in my personal, I feel like I've spent a lot of energy trying to get all three of those upgraded. So I kind of want to talk about them a little bit separately, and then at the end sort of link them all together. So
Sure.
let's start with game specific stuff. So now we're talking about things where this particular game could use an insert or could not use an insert, or you buy extra fancy bits for it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and Jamie Tegmeyer of Stonemeyer Games has been very vocal about saying that he very firmly believes that game specific nice bits are a really important part of the experience for him, which is why like he wanted Scythe and Euphoria to have the really nice bits when they first came out. In their Kickstarter versions, everything has had the fancy bits.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of agree, but I want to hear you talk about this, Patrick, first. What for you is this a thing that you could ever see yourself doing? Like you were talking about the upgraded squirrels from
Yes.
Bosk. So is that a thing for you?
It is a thing. As a matter of fact, we played 2 games of Power Grid at Origins using my set because I have all the upgraded bits. I have the original Power Grid, and I have little pieces of coal and little mini oil barrels and little nuclear bomb looking things, and little trash cans that that I got at Gen Con like 4 years ago, I think, from game trays, and little discs,
Sure.
little packages that they came in. Because that's one of the few games that I just love, that I play that often, that I adore that much,
Mhm.
that I wanted to upgrade. And
Yeah, I mean,
and it's not really critical, but it just adds to the fun of having that.
well, you have the inferior version of
I
Power
know that.
Grid,
I was waiting for
so
that. Yeah.
yeah, well, so like the fact that you still have your trash cans is a little bit sad for you. Like you
Yeah.
should really be rolling with the natural gas
Uh-huh.
from the correct version of the game. But other than that,
Right.
yeah, I have to be that guy, whatever.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
but yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like one of the first things when I backed that on Kickstarter was I absolutely was like, well, yes, I'm going to get the Power Grid ones. Of course I am. Come on.
Yeah.
Why would I not? And not because the bits that came with the correct version of the game were bad by any stretch, but it's way cooler to have actual little lumps of coal and little
Yes.
barrels of this
Yeah.
and little.
Yeah.
Although I don't, I wonder a little bit at the weird little like pimples of uranium that they give you. Like, I feel like that's probably not how that really looks in the real world. Although thankfully I've never been close enough to one to know for sure, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that one. Another game that I think benefits very strongly from it is Concordia, which I really like. And Concordia makes really good use of the Stonemeyer bits as well, because it has all the same kinds of stuff in it. And there are a lot of games that make use of those bits in specific. With the exception of Power Grid, though, my bits don't live in games. Power Grid is the only one that has those kinds of bits that live in a specific box. And that's just because they are specific to Power Grid. Everything else I have I have sort of a tackle box kind of deal that just has all of them in there. When I get a game that I feel like could make use of them, I pull out the tackle box and I'm like, let's play with nice bits. I don't know. That's me.
No, I understand. Yeah, my issue with that,
Tom in the chat. Go ahead.
is that's like poker chips or whatever. It's like, my Power Grid set, I have like the Power Grid card money because I like everything in that set. But like other games where I don't really care if I have a specific anything to any game, I have a set of like little poker chip money things that I'll bring along to game night, where when I'm traveling or whatever, then I'm fine with it not being specific to a game or whatever. Or I'd have what you said, Stonemeyer bits, if they could be more generic, that could fit in. And everyone was excited about the pipeline and the shiny metal cubes with that, though.
Everybody was excited about the metal cubes with Terraforming Mars until they played them more than 3 times.
I know. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly. When it comes to, I think as a sidebar, I think it's worth mentioning that the reason that Power Grid seems to get its own bits, I would argue, is because it is one of the more unique themes in games. And so therefore it isn't just, hey, look, there are grain and bricks and ore. Go good. Like every game in the world that has resources has those, right? Like,
yes.
Like it speaks to the uniqueness and the timelessness of the theme. I think that's part of it. So
I guess what I was getting at is part of this discussion is I'm okay with games coming out with basic bits and then having the option to buy them later if it's something you really like and then you want to spend the money to upgrade it. Because I'd rather not have every game come out being more expensive because we all had to buy upgraded bits. Or as Tom said in there, if it makes it more complicated or more expensive, or you've got, what was the game? Land, Air, and Steam. Was that it? No. There was
Yeah,
some game that had these,
Heroes of Air and Sea, or
whatever. I'm trying to think of a game that had like
Land,
these
Air, and Sea,
giant
or whatever the hell
blimps
it was.
on
The
it,
big fancy ass one from.
and you had to put
Yeah.
little cubes on them, and you had to move them, and they kept falling over, and the cubes wouldn't land on it. It was like, God, what a pain in the butt. And it was like, it looked cool, but it didn't work.
Yeah, I yeah, no, I 100% agree. As a matter of fact, when I first saw that game, I'm like, well, that's great, and nobody's ever going to play it. Like
Yes.
that's a game that looks great in a booth, and I have yet to see a copy of it on a game table at a game group that I've went to.
Other than a
Not
convention.
once. Even at conventions, I've only seen it in demo areas. I believe you that other people are playing. I've just never seen it.
Now,
I mean, I don't go to as many conventions as I used to.
Sure.
But yeah. All right. So Tom Rose in the chat has asked, do I go get my tackle box every time I want to play a game? Isn't that a lot of work? So yes, but the way that my game room is set up, the tackle box is literally directly behind where I'm sitting. It's in one of the cubicles, one of my Calax cubes. So it's 4 seconds of effort for me to turn around, grab the tackle box, and put it on the table. Also, having said that, quite frankly, lately I haven't played many games that would make good use of those bits, so it hasn't been an issue. And the couple games that I have played where I did think that those bits would be nice, the game already had nice enough bits. In this particular case, I'm thinking of Clans of Caledonia. I definitely don't feel like I need to get out better bits for my copy of Clans. It's got really nice pieces already in it. There's no point where I'm looking at that and going, well, this is crap. Like it's just not a thing that I'm doing. And on some games, like the Colonists, as an example, there is not a chance in hell I would try to use Stonemeyer bits in the Colonists. There's zero, no effing way. You have to stack so many things in small spaces that the chits are the literal only way you can actually play that game. So no thanks. But in general, I haven't played I haven't played very many games lately that would have made good use of them. But yes, I actually do pull them out. And it does add a little bit, but it doesn't add so much. Let's see. Inserts were brought up before by me, and then Tom shouted it real loud in the chat room. I have been a pretty loud proponent of inserts in the past, but not for every game. It just depends on the game and how much setup is involved. Like how many, basically the way that I look at inserts is if I get to the point where I feel like I have to dump a whole bunch of baggies onto a table and then wade through them for 5 minutes in order to even get started setting up a game, it's probably time for an insert.
Yeah.
And there's some games that just absolutely demand them. I taught the Colonists up at my Sheboygan game group a couple months ago, and I had an insert. And my friend Mike from up there went and bought the Colonists on site. As a matter of fact, I believe he had this phone out ordering it while we were in like age 3. He was like, well, I guess I'm getting this. And he said to me when I was up there last week, he's like, I bought the Colonists and I thought, I can baggy this. This won't be so bad, and I started bagging it. I got halfway through it and I said, never mind. And I pulled out my phone and ordered the insert that you got. He's like, and it's so much better. Absolutely. And there are some games that inserts are just going to make the game hit the table more because it's less of a burden to get it out. So, like another great one is Twilight Imperium. My copy of Twilight Imperium has a folded space insert in it, and I think that it's invaluable. There's way too much stuff in there. So Gloomhaven, is a great example.
Gosh.
Yeah, Gloomhaven without a custom insert is basically not worth even trying, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah,
How about you, Patrick? Do you do inserts?
I did. I went through a short insert phase. I'm not against them at all. I just they're cost prohibitive. I think I haven't found one that I think is worth its value. I like the Terraforming Mars ones, but then so many expansions come out so fast. I'm like, are they still functional? I was really drooling over the Dinosaur Island one that I saw at the Broken Token booth this weekend, because that
Sure.
I mean, you couldn't even put it in box when you got it the day you bought it. I mean, there was so much junk in that game.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Eclipse, anyone? Yeah.
I've not
Eclipse
seen
is another
Space.
one.
I need to look that
Folded
up.
Space. I actually have a bunch of Folded Space inserts. I've got Clans of Caledonia, Pulsar 2849, Tzolk'in, the Mayan Calendar, Twilight Imperium, and There's one more, and I'm not coming up with it off the top of my head. I don't remember. There's another one somewhere in there. I've got 5 different folded space inserts, and right now they are my favorite insert company because not only are they pretty easy to put together, but they don't add a bunch of weight. The nice thing
Yes.
about them is because they're foam core, they don't make the game heavy. I have the broken token insert for Gloomhaven, and I could kill a man with that box if I really wanted to. Like Gloomhaven's already stupidly heavy, and I probably added like 4 pounds of wood into that damn thing.
Well, there you go.
It's
They got one for Dinosaur
ridiculous.
Island. Maybe I'll pick it up.
Yeah, it's really folded space is really good. It's literally just pick up the what they call tacky glue, the craft glue. Pick up one thing of that and a cheap set of paintbrushes in your local Walmart, and you're good to go for God knows how many folded space inserts. They glue together really easily. They work well. I really like them. They're a little bit boring looking.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
You can't stain them, but who cares, right? Like if I don't know a single person that opens their game and then looks at the insert and goes, "Ooh, that's a really pretty insert." They look at it and they go, "Oh, that's awesome. It takes 3 minutes to set up the game now." Woohoo! So I'm saying the BT one is thematic. BT, help me.
Broken token.
Oh, broken token one. Yeah, it's thematic because yes, it is. It fits right in. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Fine. You can care, Thomas, but you're wrong. It's fine. You're allowed to be wrong. It's cool. No, the folded space stuff, they are very economical too. That's the other nice thing about them is that they're not particularly expensive. You can, oh yeah, you could kill someone. Sure. Yeah. No, the folded space ones are reasonably cheap. I want to say they were like $15 per insert or something like that for the regular game sized inserts. And I think it was maybe 20 for the Twilight Imperium one. I'm guessing on the prices because I don't remember, so don't hold me to any of that stuff. But yeah, they were very economical, very easy to put together, even for people with knockwurst fingers like me, big old sausage fingers that don't know what the hell they're doing with fine motor skills anymore. They're pretty easy and fun. Like I just found them really relaxing because you also don't have to worry about one of the other things. Anytime you do, because I've done like, let's see, what have I done? I've done Daedalus Productions, Broken Token, Meeple Realty, insert here.me, the Robert Searing one. I have a couple of his inserts. He's also foam core and now folded space. And the thing that I think I like most about folded space, besides the weight savings, is that there's no such thing as splintered pieces. Every single wooden insert I've put together has had at least one thing that I've tried to pop out that has splintered or cracked or just ends up ugly. And I haven't had that problem at all with folded space. So I really like them. That's just me, but there you go. All right. How about, okay, so that's the game specific stuff, game agnostic stuff. So now we're talking about things like bits cups. There is a Slicker Drips just put out a video, I want to say today, for a Kickstarter that's launching for player shields. Have you seen this?
No.
All right. If you're a Slicker Drips fan, you should go a very short video, like 3.5 minutes. Somebody is doing a Kickstarter for game agnostic game shields. The idea behind them is that they are taller and more stable than the ones that come in most games that require them. The game that he talked about a couple of times was Keyflower.
Yeah,
where you have that little hut that you keep your. All right. He said that it's nice. These are nice because they are taller. They have wings that wrap all the way around. He also mentioned Roll for the Galaxy, if I recall correctly. And they seem to be more stable. But of course, the video was quite clearly a little bit on the promotional side. So and it was only 3.5 minutes long. So he clearly wasn't going into super great depth with it. But stuff like that I find is fascinating. I cannot imagine wanting to like back a whole bunch of them because I don't play enough games that require them, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cupcake holders, the silicone cupcake cups. Those, yep. Tom, I agree. How about you? I used to have a bunch of these.
Yeah, I bought about like 20 of them. And I have them in a you know what I found the greatest thing? I didn't think to bring it down. So I just have a couple things behind me, but I went to Trader Joe's and I accidentally bought a wine little bag that has like 6 little bottles of wine.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about for like carrying wine? Like a
okay.
You know, like put your bag, like a bag to carry
like a 6-pack for wine?
For wine, yeah. but it's
All
like
right.
it's a cloth bag. And one of them I've got like a sleeve of I should run up and get it. It's got a sleeve of cupcake things in it, and it's got some of my dinger thingers in one of the pockets, and it's got a bunch of baggies in another thing, and it's become my portable accessory thing, and it's upstairs right now.
I like that.
Um,
I like. Go ahead.
anyway, I was gonna say, behind me, since she's here, I'm gonna plug Knitters. So Knitters just walked in the
Hello,
door.
Knitters.
The orange, bit holder here.
Your pointing
They
skills
are
are
right
on
on
point.
point. Was made by none other than
See what I did there?
Knitters. Are you still making them there, Knitters? Are you still here? Um, she
Oh
makes
yeah,
the
the
felt
bits
bit
holders things.
holders, and
Gotcha.
those are great because
So does
they
Eric who
unsnap
Fiddler.
and they fit perfectly into my quiver. And I like to have a few dice games in my quiver, and for other things, and for non games that don't have dice, I just always have a handful of those available.
That's the thing. Those are really great for traveling
Yes.
gaming. I 100% agree. I don't. I like the only game that I have that ever travels that I have stuff like that in is Terraforming Mars, because Terraforming Mars I have a whole bunch of silicone muffin cups in there, and I think 3 of those kind of looking things in there for like the greenery tiles and cities and stuff like that. But yeah, in general, if you're traveling, you absolutely should pick up a set of those. And I feel like there's a ton of people that are making those now. I remember, what is it, 3 years ago when Suzanne Sheldon was originally talking on Twitter about how she was making them and how she designed them. And then next thing you know, like 400 million people are making them. And go ahead, Patrick. Let me focus on you.
No, that's okay. I also got as a patron prize at Geekway. I got this kind of leather one. It's like got a hard bottom and kind of rigid sides. So this one's really nice too. So yeah, they're very popular.
If you are watching after the fact and you're not in the live chat right now, you can scroll back through the live chat. I know this to be fact because I've done it before. Patrick has posted a link, and I'm only saying go into the chat and look for it around this timestamp because I'm an idiot and I probably won't get around to actually putting it in the description.
Since I looked up folded space, I'll go ahead and I just did. I was looking at the Flashpoint folded space.
And there's the folded space one as well.
I have a question going back to that. It says it's in pounds. So where are they from? Is that's not an issue?
I believe they are Bulgarian.
Oh.
I believe they are not from the United States.
Okay.
I want to say it was originally Bulgaria that I got them from in the first place. Maybe they're producing them in England now. I'm not 100% sure. Let's talk sleeves really fast because Thomas in the chat asked, are card sleeves an upgrade or just functional? They are 100%. It depends on the game for me. I have maybe 10. The only time I sleeve a game is if the cards get beat to crap because you can tend to use the same cards over and over and over and over and over again. Like my copy of Terraforming Mars is sleeved as an example because those cards get wailed on and the card quality is not great. My copy of the Seventh Continent is sleeved because for the same reason, because you end up shuffling like the same 30 cards over and over and over again. But I did not sleeve, like in Seventh Continent, the only ones that are sleeved are the action cards. I didn't sleeve all the locations because why? Nobody cares, right? It doesn't matter if those look a little beat up. You're not shuffling them. Let's see what else. Oh, my copy of Just One is sleeved because they made the card stock too thin and you can read it if there's too bright of a light on the other side, which is dumb. So basically, I only sleeve it if the game demands it. But other than that, no, I think they're a luxury at most. And I generally don't like sleeves because I find them difficult to shuffle. Patrick? Thoughts on sleeves?
On sleeves, yeah, I'm the same way. It's only to protect. It's only to do something like, for me, it's more like Terraforming where they added in an expansion, and I had old beat up cards and new cards, and they didn't match. That I have concern. That's when I start to sleeve things.
Yeah. Also, if you have a game. If you have a game where you have to be able to see the backs and fronts of the cards, then you are stuck with sleeves that are transparent on both sides, and I have yet to find good transparent on both side sleeves that don't suck, in my opinion. I know they exist. I just haven't ever found them.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then the other,
And if you have to stack more than about 100 cards and they have sleeves on them, you're toast anyway.
right.
Like they're just going to fall over,
Well,
which
I
brings
always
on,
get mats for
yeah.
that reason.
Yep. Well, and I get the card holders from Broken Token. One of my
Oh
favorite things
yeah.
that I have from Broken Token is their deck holders,
Yeah.
where you get like 1x3 or 1x4 or something like that. Those are amazing. I absolutely adore those. And I have, let's say, I've got two or three mini card holders and 3 large card holders that I typically use all the time for basically all of my any game that has more than, let's say, 100 cards. I immediately grab one of those and pull it out for everything. They, by the way, are in the cube right next to the cube with all of my fancy bits in it. So yes, they are sitting right there as well.
That's cool.
As far as the bits holders go, the ones that Netters makes are really nice. I backed the component collector, those fancy shaped wood ones with like the magnets tucked into them. I backed a set of those and I really like them quite a bit. But they are also super luxury. They are way too expensive for what they were. You can generally go to like a Dollar Tree and get like ramekin sauce cups for $1 that will do just fine.
Yes.
If you want something a little bit more permanent than, let's say, the muffin cups, you can get sauce cups for dirt cheap. So like the component collector ones are really groovy, but they're not cost efficient at all. They are strictly a luxury item. My opinion.
Yeah, even
dice?
like restaurant supply stores. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
there were so
exactly.
many dice places. Somebody asked, we
Sure.
were joking about that at the store at Origins, like, why are there so many places selling dice? I mean, there was this giant inflatable pool that had like a unicorn head on it or something, and it was like a kids swimming pool full of dice in the middle of the convention center, and then like around the perimeter, like crystal dice and metal dice and stone dice and every kind of dice you could think of. That is not a thing for me. I have dice. I have a whole like drawer over here full of dice. I have a thing for dice. I got a photograph of dice right here. It's not that I don't like dice, but I don't get excited about like rare or whatever expensive dice. I just like dice, lots of dice.
So I have an entire. You remember? Everybody knows Jay's potato chips. They used to come in these gigantic tins back in the day. I have one of those from the 30s that is full of dice. Basically, every time I get dice and I don't know what to do with them, I huck them in there, and that thing is basically full. But besides that, I have dice in 2 other general flavors. I have novelty dice that I've gotten from either conventions or Kickstarters or whatever that I keep sort of separate. So like I went to the first Dice Tower convention and I have their dice, and I have Gaming Hoopla dice, and we got dice from Kickstarter. Folded Space, by the way, you get a free die every time you order an insert. Every insert comes with a die. So if you back a bunch of folded inserts, you're going to end up with a crap ton of D6s too. That's another thing. Why was that for review? We absolutely care of that. I got it. There you go. So like, and then the third one is the very first Kickstarter that I ever backed was for something called Eco Dice, which were these machine milled aluminum dice.
Yeah.
That I really like. But I don't ever use them because they're really hard to read. They're just cool. So anytime I spend money on dice like that, it ends up being 100% novelty. I like to think that those are more for tabletop RPG players.
Yes.
Like I think that those super fancy dice tend to be more gravitated towards those folks.
Yeah, like we were playing a RPG with Craig at Origins, and Eric got out these dice that looked like teeth, and he played with them a little bit, and then he like set them aside when he had to really play.
When he actually like had to read something. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's part of it, right? Like novelty dice have been around forever and ever and ever. Like, I mean, I go back far enough that I remember when you first bought your D&D dice and they came uninked and you had to go steal a crayon and like color in the numbers yourself, because that's just how they made dice. And I've been around that long, and I will say that novelty dice and the infamous 100-sider and the 30-sider that nobody knows what to do with, and
Yeah.
24-siders exist and all this other crap. They're almost entirely just there because math nerds figured out how to make them. Now,
Yes.
that's nothing wrong with that. Okay. There is 100%. That's totally cool, but they are almost never useful. And my gaming collection has trended towards utility over form lately. Like I tend to not buy things just because they're pretty, which is weird considering what we're talking about today. But I tend to only buy things that I find utilitarian.
Well, I mean, we'll go
So
back to those gray inserts that we were talking about.
yeah, exactly. Like the folded space inserts are perfect. They don't add weight. They do a great job holding everything together. I can put them together with my fat fingers. They're utilitarian.
Mhm.
They're great. I'm definitely never gonna. By the way, Tom messaged us on the side
Yeah.
and sent us pictures of some of the stuff that he's done, and I'm not going to post them, not because I don't think they're beautiful, Thomas, but I don't want to make everybody else feel like crap about their games, because these are some like seriously luxed out things that I don't even like Arkham Horror all that much, and I'm jealous of that one. Isn't that Arkham Horror? It looks like it's Arkham. Yeah, that's totally Arkham Horror. I don't even like that game, and I'm jealous of that case. That's gorgeous.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really cool stuff.
You can go back on Twitter because I know we saw some of those recently on Thomas's Twitter account.
Yeah, there you go. If you go follow TP Chid, TPCHID, I'm outing you, Thomas. You've been outed. I'm sure he won't mind.
No,
You can find all of this stuff. You can find publicly. And if he does mind, he can send me nasty hate mail and be like, "Why would you say that, you jerk?" I don't know. It'll be fine. All right. So let's talk about the gaming environment, because I think this is maybe the most overlooked of the three in general. To me, this comes down to three general things: the table, the chairs, and the lighting. The table, I think, is arguably the most important one, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to play a game on a table that is too small, or that you can't, like, that wobbles, or that just makes me insane, especially if you're playing like dexterity games or whatever. But even if you're not, just, that sort of thing, I think, is a huge benefit. And you can go a couple routes with this, right? Like, so for instance, my game table. Oh, shut up. It does not. Thomas is lying to you in the chat room.
he
By the way.
likes all my stuff, so you'll be seeing my.
Yeah, he's automatically not boring. He likes all the right things. We're good. So for instance, I'm going to present an argument away from these custom tables and custom table toppers that are currently being sold. Not because I don't think they're good, but because I think that there are more cost-effective and yet equally utilitarian ways to give yourself a good gaming space. Mine is a very old metal folding table. It's 8 feet long by 36 inches wide. And I have a layer of felt that we picked up at Walmart on it with some batting underneath it to give it a little bit of cushion. And it's the best gaming table I've ever had. It's beautiful. And it cost, well, the table was free because I found it in my dad's garage and he didn't know what to do with it anymore. But generally speaking, lots of old schools and offices will have tables like these, and you can pick them up for relatively inexpensively nowadays. And the felt was maybe $20, I want to say. And it was about 3 hours of labor and some spray glue, and we were done. And it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's big, it's flat, there's lots of room. You can pick stuff off of it easily. It cleans well. I just Scotch guarded it when I got it. It doesn't stain anymore, despite the efforts of some of my doofus friends that have tried to spill things on it multiple times since I got it. Not naming names, Andy. It's like, I absolutely adore it. And you can do a good gaming table, a perfectly serviceable game table, for very cheap. Now, having said that, Patrick, what do you play on? What is your most?
Mine is a Costco, 330. I think it's 30 by 5 foot, folding table, and it's got a nice tablecloth on it that I used to bring to Origins.
Origins used to need it.
Origins used to need it, but they've kind of fixed things up, and that's my basement main gaming table. Otherwise, it's like my dining room table, which isn't, it's a nice dining room table that we picked up. But that's about it. It's nothing fancy. I was thinking about getting a nicer topper to it, but I do have a little. I got a 3x3 Gale Force 9 top that I can get out. It looks like the Death Star. That was for when I played X-Wing. I got rid of my X-Wing stuff, but I kept that because it looked cool.
Sure. Couple pro tips on that. If you have a table that has leaves in it,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that the table is stable and that the leaves, it doesn't tend to drift apart, because there's nothing more frustrating than having bits fly through the center of your table. This
Yeah.
is all stuff that everybody knows. Or get yourself a gaming mat, like or what Patrick was talking about at the top of the show. A mat that just goes right over the top of it. That'll help a bunch too. Do not get one of those no matter how small your gaming space is. I'm just going to tell you right now, don't get one of those folding tables that also folds in the center of the table itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes up like half the space. Those are great for everything except board games. They suck for board games because it never lays 100% flat. And then you end up with a weird bump in the middle of your table that's
That's
obnoxious.
what I get.
Yeah. See, it sucks, doesn't it?
Well, it works for me, but
It works for you. Whatever. It sucks. He's just got low standards. Don't listen to
I
him.
do.
It's a terrible idea.
No, I don't spend my money on damn tables. I spend my money on my board games.
Yeah, that's fair. And see, this is interesting because to me, I would rather have the table. Like I would pass up 2 new board games to have an awesome table that makes all the board games I already have play better. Now I would pass up 2 games. Would I pass up 20 games like it would cost if I was going to spend $1,000 on a table? No.
Right.
Right. Like now like I am still frugal. I like to use the word frugal instead of cheap, but I love those big fancy, like, the geek chic used to be the word that we would all use, right? Till
Oh
they
gosh,
folded.
yeah, yeah.
But boardgametables.com or whatever. Tom in the chat says this: shut up and sit down guys recently talked about how American gaming tables are too big because you have to be able to reach across them.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of disagree, but I think that it really depends on the game. Like there are some games that huge tables are not good for, right? Like I don't want to play Dominion on a table that's like 4 foot square. That would be obnoxious, right? Because everybody's reaching into the center for the same things over and over again. But there is no replacement for that for a game like, let's say, for instance, Power Grid, where you have a huge map that you got to fold out in the middle and you have to put the market over here, and everybody has to have their power plants and their stuff and their money. And, you want room for, your calculator and whatever. I think those bigger tables are great for that. It really just depends on what sort of games you play, in my opinion.
Right. Right.
And
I did have a little mini Origins rant.
go.
Yeah, most of the tables they had there were 3x6 or 3x8, and you could put 6 people at them. And then they had probably 50% of them were big round tables for 12. How many games of 12 people do you play?
None.
Right.
None. Well, I mean, maybe Werewolf. Like if I was going to
Yes,
run
I'm saying,
Werewolf,
but as a percentage,
yeah, very low.
right. So
Very low.
why were 50% of the tables, it seemed like, tables for 12?
If I was a betting man, I would say it's because that's what the space had.
Yes, exactly.
They put out the
Right.
tables that they already had.
It was a convention for other people, not
Yeah.
for us.
And you know what? And I think that until some eccentric billionaire decides that he's a board game nerd and builds a convention space for board games, right?
Yeah.
Which is never going to happen.
No, I know.
But until like Sir Richard Branson decides he really, really digs that Catan thing and decides that he wants to build a gigantic place somewhere for it or whatever, we're never going to get perfect tableage at a convention.
Yeah, I know.
Which is, but it's annoying. And I understand. I agree with you. Like I've been seated at tables where as a matter of fact, when I was the on-site manager for the Gaming Hoopla back in the day, one of the biggest struggles was, okay, these are the tables we have. What kind of games are we going to put at them? And when we would do the scheduling, it'd be like, well, I don't want to put in a Kill Dr. Lucky at a 6-foot round table. That's just ignorant, so what the hell are we going to do? Where we put this? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a real struggle, especially for convention coordinators. Like I feel a little bad. It's a legitimate complaint, and it is something that should be taken into consideration, but it is sometimes a bit of a struggle, especially when it comes to open gaming space, because there's no way to control what games people are going to bring to those tables.
Right.
Especially if you don't know the industry.
All right. Rant off.
Very good. All right. Let's talk about lighting, because I think this is the second most important one.
Yes.
I am partially colorblind. Can't you tell? How's my pink hair, everybody? You guys good? No. Anyway, I'm partially colorblind. And what I mean by that is that there are certain color palettes that I will have a hard time detecting shades apart from. Typically they fall in the reddish the red spectrums, so like reds and oranges and pinks and stuff like that, I will struggle with pretty regularly. But I've discovered that since I have upgraded the lighting in my game space, that is no longer an issue. And here's why. There are two different kinds of light in the world, folks. There is white light and there is natural light. And natural light sucks for picking out colors. White light does not. So, like, I cannot stress this enough. If you are going to put lighting in your game space, please, even though you're at first, it will look artificial and you will sit there and feel like, oh my God, this looks like I'm in a hospital. The moment you sit down at that table and you want it will be a blessing to your eyeballs because everything jumps out so much clearer with real white lights instead of natural lighting. Everything. They are so good. Like, but I have a dedicated game room, so I'm a little bit spoiled here, right? But I just went and found I think I found a true white. They duplicate 150-watt bulbs, but they're LEDs.
Yeah.
On Amazon, and they were really cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
And they light up my game room amazingly well. And all of my issues with telling colors apart at the game table have gone away since I got those.
Mm-hmm.
Or man, that's not. I should be less exaggerating there. Not all, 90%. It is much better than it used to be. And so I strongly recommend them. Having said that, you also have to get rid of glare. That's a thing too.
I agree.
What do you use for lighting where in your main gaming space? Just normal?
I have several things. I have some track lighting with LEDs in them that I can, aim strategically at the game. I like to have just some general kind of uplights that just can provide general lighting into the room. I have a couple of those like floor lamps that just shoot up and bounce off the ceiling.
They used to call them torch lamps, I think.
Yeah.
Those.
And those have LEDs in them. I've tried to do my whole house in LEDs when I can, as I've been replacing bulbs, because they're cooler and less energy.
If you want some really cost-effective, by the way, versions of those uplights, they have one. They have one at IKEA that I want to say is like $7 for the actual light fixture. Then you have to buy the bulbs, but the light fixtures themselves, and they come with two. They have the uplight, and then they have one bendable one that you can sort of aim specifically where you want it. Those are amazing for a small gaming area. Like two of those, one on each side, and you are good to go because the uplighting will give you a general light, and then you can aim those other ones if you need more light for a specific game. They're wonderful.
Yep.
And then just straight white light LEDs are your ticket. And for the record, if you are not on the bus with LED lighting, you should get on the bus now. Anyway, right? Like there are still people rolling around with incandescents, and that just breaks my brain. Like, come on, what? Why would you do that in 2019? I went over to a friend's house and they had incandescents still in there, and I'm like, I'm really what? Is that a thing? He's like, well, I don't know, they're cheap.
Not my night for computers.
Double the Patrick, double the fun. I like it.
Oh, look at that.
Very good. So yeah, I would strongly recommend. I like those too. And you can also do like hanging light fixtures that can be obtained pretty cheaply on Amazon or whatever. That's what I have in my game room. I literally just have two, and they just come with a hook and like metal hooks that you screw into your ceiling or whatever. And then you just loop the cord over that a couple times and dangle it down, and away you go. I really like those. Because it gets them off the floor, so you save floor space. You don't have to worry about moving lamps around if you want to move a table or whatever. I really dig those as well. And then finally, last but not least, is seating. I think that this is arguably the least important of the three, and that's only because if you have uncomfortable seating, people will get up and walk around, which is good for blood flow and therefore causes you to be slightly healthier. I can't believe I'm the one saying that, but it's the truth. But good seat cushions are better than spending lots of money on chairs, my humble opinion. Patrick? Do you use seat cushions or do you have fancy chairs?
I had some folding chairs with cushions, but I just did get couple nice chairs, mainly because I spend so much time down here doing other things, editing and podcasting stuff, that I got myself a couple more nicer chairs.
Sure. And like for a workstation, absolutely get yourself a good chair. Like, I mean, I have a pretty nice chair that people like making fun of me for spinning around the whole time I'm sitting here talking. But And for a workstation, fine. But for gaming, I would go better than folding chairs, maybe, but don't go crazy and get like gaming chairs, right? Like I think
No,
that's
yeah,
overkill.
yeah,
Get a
no,
get a halfway decent used dining room set off of Facebook Marketplace or something like that, or just rummage sale and get yourself some chairs that will support your butt. Basically, if it'll keep your butt off the ground and it's big enough that you can put a cushion on it, you are good to go.
hmm
As far as the actual cushions go, like I have Purple, that company that makes the mattresses that you sort of unroll the
yes,
burrito in your house. So
yeah,
we had a Purple mattress a couple years ago, and I don't have it anymore because my ex-girlfriend hated it. And they had seat cushions that you could get with it, and that is easily my favorite seat cushion I've ever owned. That thing is amazing for gaming because it
hmm,
just does a really great job of. I'm a bigger guy and I have lower back problems, and it does a great job. As a matter of fact, that is one of the few things that I have already decided I am taking on the ship with me when I go. Is I'm not kidding. That is getting packed because if I'm going to be sitting at chairs a lot, I want to make sure that I don't make my back issues worse.
cool,
So I really strongly recommend those,
nice.
especially if you have a bad back
hmm
or blood flow issues. That's another big thing too, right? Like my watch, I have an Apple Watch and it reminds me when it's time to stand up and walk around. And boy, does that really helps too. That's another pro tip is allow yourself breaks. Like even if you're playing a long game, get up, walk around
Yes,
every once in a while.
yes.
It's worth 10 extra minutes to avoid making yourself feel like crap. Chat room has,
I lost the
yeah.
chat room.
So you lost the chat room. Well, I didn't, and they're being relatively quiet. But I'm
Okay.
really glad that they are all here. Thank you so much for that.
Well, I had a couple
Please,
things, more things I can talk
please,
about.
yeah. Go. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to talk about art. I put up some
Oh,
art.
oh yeah,
You know,
decorating the actual
decorate your
game
chat
space
room.
itself.
So the
Sure.
dice thing that I showed, that's one of Scott King's pieces. So not only, you can buy his calendars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And cut them up, or you can buy his pieces as frame, bigger to put them up. So I have a couple things that he's given me just hanging around my room. This I took down and just put behind me
Very cool.
as a piece of art. I pasted his website. He's also an author too, just for people who don't know.
That's awesome.
And So this is one of his Pride. It's Pride Month, so there's some Pride pictures there behind me. And then Emily Detmer is a friend, and she makes some little knickknack things related to gaming that are kind of fun accessories. She made me this. It's sort of like a bag for game bits.
That
And it's a
flaming circle.
flashpoint. It's the smoke and flame token for flashpoint.
Oh, got it.
But she makes other things. She may also made there's a little yellow meeple somewhere behind me. And if you go to her Etsy page, why
Good.
did I
Yeah,
just
that's a
do
good call.
that?
Nathan in the chat brought up something that I had meant to talk about earlier in the conversation and got distracted and forgot about, which is money.
Oh gosh,
You
yeah.
had you brought up the paper money or the card money that you use
Yes.
in Power Grid, but
Yeah, there
poker
was
chips or
a
metal coins. I will support what Tom is saying, and I will say that I have a set of metal coins and I do not love them.
mhm.
They're nice, they're pretty, and I even bought the most functional set they had, which was the set that has Roman numerals embossed on them, so that way every denomination is clearly marked what it is. You don't have to
Mhm.
try and read text. And they're nice, they're cool, but I want to be able to stack them, and they don't stack well. So I would say every gamer in the world should get themselves a halfway decent set of poker chips. You don't have to
Yeah.
have really super luxe ones like they are doing iron clays right now. Roxley is doing
Yeah,
a
those are
Kickstarter
gorgeous. I
currently
agree.
for their iron clays, and I backed Brass Birmingham and oh my god, why can't I think of the other one? Lancaster. There we go.
Mhm.
I backed those, and they, because I backed them, they came with the iron clay. So I've got a set of them, and they are beautiful and they're wonderful. But if you want to go a little bit cheap, honestly, go to Walmart. Like, as dumb as this sounds, you can go to any big box store and get a set of poker chips that will be 100% serviceable and still 10 times better than the paper money that comes in a lot of crap games. Like, no doubt. Like, I wish I didn't know that. No, you don't. You'll be very happy when you get them. It'll set you back a little bit of money, but they will last you forever, and you can use them in every damn game you have. Like that's the other thing, right? You can use them to, you don't just have to use them as money. You can track victory points with them. You can track, hell, if you're a role player, you can use them to track hit points. I started doing that in my D&D games years ago. Just hand out a stack of poker chips for hit points, and as people get wounded, you just move hit point, move your chips from one stack to the other, and then the healer in the group can literally look at the stack of chips and see how messed up you are. So you don't have to be like, I'm sorry, how many hit points are you down? Over and over and over.
That's hilarious.
So, and yeah, Tom, I agree. These would definitely qualify as a borderline heirloom quality stuff. Like if you back up one of those big sets of iron clays, I want to say it's like $300 or something like that for the really big set that they basically promise you there is no game that you will ever play that you won't have enough money for.
Yeah, they
But
list on their website all the different games that they're compatible with, and they have enough.
Paul in the chat says sometimes money is hidden information and chips don't work. I disagree, sir, because that is where the red solo cup comes in. You literally just I'm not kidding, hand it, put a cup, and you can set it right over the top of your stack of chips, and away you go. Now you have hidden information.
I have
Like,
some Meeple Source little mini poker chips. They're
oh
actually
yeah,
they're not printing those anymore, but they're one-sided, and that's why they did them that way, for hidden information.
yeah, and they were wood, right?
No, they're plastic. They're like
They're plastic. Okay,
they're little neoprene sort
I
of
thought I
things.
remembered seeing them have wood ones back in the day. Maybe not. I don't know.
One of the best things out of Seafall was the metal coins.
See, there you go. Seaball you can get for like $9 in a song right now. So you can just buy like 5 copies of Seaball and you've got all the metal coins you'll ever need.
If you can get not all of them have metal coins. No, I can't find the website, but there was a booth at Origins that was selling this little travel set that was, maybe this big of travel coins, and somebody had them, and I was looking at them, and they were a little good travel set. They were sort of I don't know, some sort of plastic neoprene thing. Probably not good for your home set, but good for travel, lightweight. I remember reading about them, but the BGG has switched over to Gen Con, so I can't find them anymore.
I'll tell you right now that generally speaking, when I think about traveling gaming, I don't worry too much about deluxe bits for anything, because usually when I'm getting to that point, the only things that I want are organizational stuff, or things that will make it easier to carry things. So like a quiver as an example.
Yeah.
But I don't really
there's
think
an
much
upgrade.
Yeah, a quiver. A quiver is a solid investment. By the way, those are just generally great people, by the way, that run Quiver.
Seems
so, like,
right.
if you are a card game aficionado and you want to have games that you can take with you on the road, get yourself a Quiver. Just be done with it. Or if you're a TCG player, that's another one. Tom in the chat, what's the most ridiculous upgrade you personally done for a game? Oh, this is a tough one. Patrick, I'm going to make you go first till I think.
I was just going to respond to him. Have you seen the pictures of my Power Grid set? I mean, I've probably sent I don't know.
I know what mine would be. I got it. Okay, so everybody knows Eclipse is my number one game. I sold my copy of Eclipse about 3 or 4 months ago because I backed the second edition and it's coming in a few months and yada yada yada. So I was like, whatever. I can go 6 months without playing my favorite game, and in exchange, I got a copy of Twilight Imperium out of the deal. So that way I would have both. But my copy of Eclipse had the Litco, those acrylic laser cut dealios.
Oh yeah.
But it had the monoliths and orbitals in those, which is completely stupid because you definitely don't need those. But it made the monoliths actually stand up off the table, and the orbitals had like little rings that you could set the cube inside. Those were ludicrous and complete overkill. I definitely did not need those whatsoever. As a matter of fact, all they did was make the game harder to store. Like, legitimately, I think they got played exactly twice in the entire time that I owned them, and they just made the game impossible to store. So that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever. If we're using dumb as the criteria for ridiculous, that would be it. Other than that, I have another one. I bought acrylic overlays for Terra Mystica, right? So like it basically, it's a piece of clear acrylic that is cut out for all the little all the little bits, so that way your grid of bits that sits on your player mat doesn't, you can't accidentally shoulder chuck it. Sort of because Terra Mystica used to suffer from the same issue as Terraforming Mars. Like it felt like you were one table bump away from disaster. Although in Terra Mystica, all the bits were at least different shapes, mana pool or power pool or whatever that was. But those acrylic overlays were complete massive overkill that I definitely didn't need. They didn't all they did was add a whole bunch of size to the box and made it like 3 times as heavy as it was. And I think I played the game maybe twice since I bought them, so that was stupid. But I won the game for free, so I guess it wasn't too bad.
Now, Bill, don't you have that really fancy cribbage board?
I do have a really fancy cribbage board, but that was a gift. It was a birthday gift from my dad, so I can't.
All right,
I can't pick on.
That's...
Yeah, that is an heirloom quality.
Ridiculous upgrades. That.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so that probably counts because it's inlaid and has metal pegs and a magnetic card drawer, and it's got 4 tracks and it's beautiful. But that's more of an heirloom thing, right? Like that doesn't feel like a ridiculous upgrade as much as it is like an art piece.
Yes.
Well,
I just think that kind of goes along with our conversation.
Yeah, it's definitely super luxe, right? It, by the way, is also making the trip. Like that is 100% coming with me as well. Sure. My poor little 15 square meters of heaven in my cruise ship is going to be very full with all the things I just keep saying, well, I can't leave without this. It's going to be bad. So we'll talk more. You'll see more videos from me about what the hell I'm talking about with this cruise ship nonsense in case you're not a social media person. But there you go. Patrick, thank you for joining me along this ridiculous adventure tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a proud member of Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. There you go. You should check out more wonderful content at punchboardmedia.com. There's all kinds of good stuff. Chat room, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. We are going to try and be back next week with another show. Remember that no promises on the schedule right now because everything is a little bit chaos in our world. As like I said, if you check out social media, you'll catch all that stuff. But I will promise to keep everybody updated along the way. Patrick, thank you so much for joining me. Any last words of wisdom or any plugs? How's Eric and Patrick in the morning going?
Just fine. We did an Origins preview, and Brandon's threatening to do something on the What Did You Play This Week Productions feed, and then we'll probably do something when we recover from.
I'm sorry, Brandon. Who? Brandon? Is there a Brandon?
There's a Brandon that's out there. He does written content now.
Yeah, that's right. He works at that other site. Screw that guy. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. We love Brandon. He checked in with us earlier. So thanks everybody for watching tonight. Have a great week of gaming. We'll catch you all next time. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Bye.